Can I ask you a question?
Ask him why.
Yes. Of what value is that information before the event to anyone going to cover it? If you are not going to be engaged
before the event,
if you are not going to be engaged in any reporting or any aspect of actual broadcasting work before the day.
Of what importance is knowing how many goals a player has scored when you are about to do commentary, when you haven't actually started the commentary?
No, you said when you are about to do commentary. I'm saying that
we are about to report.
And I'm saying that is information I can get on the morning.
And I'm saying that you don't need to get that information in the morning. I'm saying get it before the morning.
You didn't answer the question. If there is a certain value to be got from it before,
there's value. It's knowledge. You cannot be hurt by acquiring
knowledge that is time bound. That's the point.
For the report, relax. I'll give you get in the morning before the report.
And if you wake up in the morning and something is not working, problem for you.
The AC staff will suddenly know it. The AC staff will suddenly know it.
If they steal your phone right now.
Wait. I'm not talking about phone. I'm saying that that is information I can get and I will get when I get to the polling station. Unless you are saying that the AC staff will suddenly know.
How many parliamentary candidates are in your constituency?
I don't know. unless you are telling me that the electoral commission staff will suddenly not show up.
Evans Mensah, reassign Achu. He's not ready.
I'll be so excited if he swaps at you at night.
Reassign Achu. He's not ready.
Evans Mensah himself. KOP.
Yes.
Fifi Kumsi. Our listeners, the political parties, they are interested in only 2 candidates on that long sheet. Everybody, they are only interested.
I'm not too sure.
We have to be. Wait, there's a gentleman in the do-rag who is not in studio, but he's wearing a do-rag, sitting there like Abedi Pele's cousin. You saw Abedi from yesterday. Charlie. I'm 100% sure that Abedi's appearance.
Motivated this one.
Sucho, what are you wearing?
I want to know. Somebody else. I didn't know today when the holiday was going to happen. So,
you don't open your ears to listen. You don't open your ears to listen.
No, that's poor communication. Very poor communication.
Thanks to technology, it doesn't matter. That's it.
Yeah, that means I'm here. I'm here.
You are not covering the election, are you?
Oh no, I'll be following all of you for the update. So
yes,
when you see
don't follow Aju.
No, the thing I keep saying, you're never remember Aju because by this time, and then it's be fair Aju. By this time, I keep forget all the filler. He forgets the number of people registered voters.
Number of police stations. Yes.
If for no
the biggest police station,
the dynamics. If for no, look at you. You can excuse yourself from this show. We take on the rest.
When start preparing, we know that you. So that's why I concluded by saying that your work after the show is plenty. So just admit you're going to go and prepare.
So as you looking at the show. Today we talk for something for. We founded the show.
Prepare. You have to research.
It can be quite stressful.
Cranty, where are you reporting from?
We have a question for Sichu. Is that Richard Miller or Thomas Partey is wearing?
Ask the man. Are you asking me?
Yeah,
the man is wearing his watch. You're asking me.
Yes. What? This one. This one's an Omega. This one is an Omega.
Okay.
Is that his watch?
Omega.
It's an Omega.
See this guy embarrassed. He did it. He asked somebody, "What are you wearing?"
These days, if you wear Richard Miller, you are in trouble.
Why?
Oh, you haven't seen the streets people are catching.
But it's Richard Mille.
And they have to.
You are the one adding Miller.
It's Miller. You want to say Richard Mille? Go and say Richard Mille. Who have you heard pronounce it as Richard Mille? You and who?
Everybody who knows.
Then Akante, where's your constituency?
Kranting is in Ablikuma South.
Ablikuma
South. Which place is that one?
Oh, he knows. Where's Ablikuma South?
Bukom side.
Kolebu. Okay.
So Evans not like Mama. Why go put me for Nima?
But what's wrong with Nima?
Why?
Nima is not
a sitting president.
What's wrong with this guy?
Behave yourself.
Nima is not a constituency.
Relax.
Nima is not a constituency. Nima is not a constituency.
I also East.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. Nima just happens to be inside.
But it is the most famous part of the constituency, isn't it?
Is Kanda a joke to you?
No, it is not a joke. It is a flower.
Okay, well, I'm not going to any constituency. So
for the first time,
yeah. I've been covering elections since 2008. So,
2008.
I'm an old man, yeah. So 2008 I was on campus, right? I was at the University of Ghana. So I was recruited as a part-time reporter for City at the time. That one I just call you one call polling station coalition center. I wasn't even the one they sent to the coalition center, but I was on campus running up and down. Then 2012 I covered Asawasi. Then 2016 to Asawasi. 2020 I covered 2 constituencies, Ayawaso North and East.
And you finished at 4 a.m.
Yeah. The good thing about those 2 constituencies. Hey, Zicho! Hey!
I saw a flash. Right? Charlie, let's rewind it.
No, it's okay. Ayawasi East and North. The good thing for me in 2020 was that the coalition centers of the 2 constituencies were on the same road. At the end of either road. So for Ayawasi East, the coalition center was at Nima police station. Then for North, it was Accra Girls. So one road. I'll just go up.
When we finish, hand over the nose.
Which one?
Ayawasi East. Nobody is in the North.
It's very straightforward, to be honest.
No, I actually covered that in 2016, so I still have
so you are
a good memory of.
All right, I'm looking forward to my segment though on the elections. I'm hosting a segment called HQ Interactive. We're working with Dubawa. Our job is to catch fake news.
All the liars.
All the people who have been post videos from a different country and come and tell you that this is Ghana and people are fighting.
Or post videos from 2016.
Yes, thank you.
I think that segment could be about one of the most important segments in the election in the entire country.
It is.
Because misinformation and demystifying them will be crucial.
It will be essential.
So around this time, everybody's sending something across. So
yeah.
We'll catch you.
So it's what I'm looking forward to really.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to know which one is true and which one is.
Natino is also presenting that segment. So Natino will start us off. Natino and they've paired that. So Natino and Rosalind will do the first 9 hours.
Yeah, that's a very good introduction.
Yeah, so they will start at 6 a.m. and then they will end at 1 p.m.
Then you take over.
Yes. Then me
you take over after eating lunch.
No. You know who they have paired me with?
Who?
Asedua.
I love it. What a pair!
Yes,
correct pair.
I did not have a hand
in the pairing.
Now I can tell you for a fact. I did not contribute. I see why Sicho is quiet because Sicho doesn't know Asedua. Wait till you meet Asedua. Big woman. But listen, guys, I'm looking forward to the election. So see, by quarter by Monday, everybody has seen their smoothness level.
Monday, Sunday.
By Sunday morning, then people start to get a clearer picture of where they stand. By midday, they are preparing themselves to accept the outcomes. Then, so from midday, those who have to do the acceptance party and celebratory, they start making arrangements.
I see.
Yeah, on the
but you have to be careful. If you are spotted at any celebration party,
trouble for you.
Problem for you.
What if you are going home and they are playing the music and you happen to enjoy music?
The Soloku cry, you have to be careful. You can enjoy some Soloku and then problem go. Oh well, that is if you are me. He can join whichever Soloku he wants.
He doesn't care.
He can join whichever Soloku he wants. But listen, one more thing I'll just say: go and vote. Go back home. Tune in and watch Joy News. because we have assembled Avengers for this election.
I tell you. Hey! Proper ballers this election. Proper ballers.
Oh yes.
Yes.
You know, we've assembled Avengers for this election. And I'm quite excited about it. No one does elections better than Joy News.
Nobody.
Right?
Nobody.
You know what excites me?
It's World Cup. You know, they take it absolute World Cup.
Thank you.
Yes.
You know what that excites me the most? When
Sorry?
Evans comes on the screen and say it is mathematically impossible.
What they are calling the election. Yeah, it's crazy, man. But guys, so that's that. Tomorrow starts from 7 a.m. As for Joy News, our election coverage starts at 6 p.m. tonight.
Tonight.
Yeah.
Or is it 7? 7 p.m.
7
p.m. tonight until Tuesday. We'll start before everybody.
Back to back.
Then when people have finished the election, or we are now, we will be there for all the tears and all the joys. Okay, tears of joy for all the tears. Whether tears of joy or tears of sorrow, will be there. And we will gather.
Ababa, do you remember that?
I don't remember anything.
2016.
Where's Jojo? No what? No.
No Ababa.
Yes.
I mean, I was at the NDC headquarters in 2016.
They said no Ababa.
No Ababa.
And where did they land then? Anyway, let's not do that. All right. So anyway, let's talk about sports now. Obviously, there's quite a lot. Muftau, I want to begin with you because I saw there's a story that John Pencil and Fatah Dada's jobs are at stake. That Otuado apparently wants the two of them yanked from the technical team. Since that last conversation with Henry last week about that ESCO meeting, we know the ESCO hasn't met yet, but what new developments can you report from the so-called engagements or conversations that have gone on since last Friday?
Okay, so most of the conversations have been directed towards the Ministry of Youth and Sports. And yesterday, I was on the phone with Aziz Aruna. I needed to ask him certain questions following an interview that he granted, and I wanted to understand some of the things he said. And he made me to understand that the sports minister has advised the Ghana Football Association to part company with Otuado. That was what he said. But the story about Fatah Daura and John Pencil is not one thing I can report authoritatively, because I do know the Ghana Football Association had the blessing of Otuado before recruiting John Pencil and Fatah Daura.
What does that mean?
But let me state that Otuado did not hire Fatah Daura. He did not hire John Pencil.
You mean he didn't recommend them for hiring?
No. The technical team or backroom staff that were hired by Otuado were the is it Basel man Joseph, the
Lauman.
the two video analysts and the Mazers. But when it comes to the second assistant, which is John Pencil, and the goalkeeper trainer Fatah Daura, Otuado did not hire them, and this was what happened. During the conversations, we are all aware that the first choice of Otuado to be his assistant coach was Michael Essien.
Yes.
And when Michael Essien said he was not interested in the job, what the Ghana Football Association and Otuado did was to give Otuado the free hand to hire his backroom staff. So what Otuado told the GFA per sources was that I need a player that I have played with to be my assistant. Right? My second assistant. So the GFA were like, okay.
And we can't join
ahead
the reason for
decide for us.
Okay.
Claims were that Derek Boateng was one of the coaches that he was looking at. And the other claim that was made was that Ibrahim Tanko too was in the running, but he was told that Ibrahim Tanko, you did not play with Ibrahim Tanko. So he said, okay, if these players are not, or these coaches are not available for me, I give that to the FA to appoint. So he interviewed Joseph and brought Joseph, and gave the GFA reasons why they should give Joseph the job. He interviewed the two video analysts.
Joseph Lawman.
Yes. He interviewed the two video analysts. He interviewed the Mazars and brought them. But the FA said, okay, you need to work with two assistant coaches. And because you want a player that you played with, we will give you John Pencil. JP. And he was fine with it. The goalkeeper's trainer, Fatah Daura, they said, we'll give you Fatah Daura. He was okay with it. That was why Fatah Daura left his job at Sudan and came back here.
Okay.
But as we all heard from Henry, because most of these stories came up after the executive council meeting.
Okay.
And at no point was I made to understand that Otoado made demands for additional backroom staff. And we all heard it from Henry when you asked him that question, whether Otoado made demands for additional backroom staff. And he said no. Because the fact is that Otoado did not make demands for additional backroom staff. Following, when these things came up, I got in touch with people. And in fact, one of the things I was so much interested in were the bullet points that Otoado gave to them and the conversations that ensued. And in fact, there was nothing new out of what Henry came and sat down here and told us. That's the reason why we've not had a new story about the meeting and what transpired at the meeting. I won't be surprised if Otoado decides that he wants to replace Fatah Daura and John Pencil, because these were not people he hired, though the FA had his blessings to hire them. If he feels they are not good enough to assist him, where some people within the hierarchy of the Ghana Football Association have actually even said that they do not believe the backroom staff of the senior national team is good enough, and they decide that, okay, let's get rid of Fatah Daura and John Pencil. I will not be taken aback. But one thing that I can say with certainty is that one of the leadership of the Ghana Football Association, there was a meeting where the GFA was told about how they do not have a very strong backroom staff. And I was told that one of the leaders actually said they have a very experienced assistant coach in Joseph Lawman. So in fact, they actually said that Joseph Lawman is a perfect replacement for Otoado, should it happen that Otoado is not in a position to lead a technical team. So the FA is actually convinced that Joseph Lawman is a very good assistant coach to Otoado. It is John Pencil and Fatah Daura that I cannot, because I've not been given any intel on that.
Okay.
One of the things that transpired in that conversation was the fact that when the conversation about the technical team happened, where they were told about the inconsistent nature of the Black Stars technical team, the FA said they cannot take the blame alone because they've done it with government. Where the claims were that the former sports minister hired C.K. Akuno. When C.K. Akuno was not performing, they decided to fire him. They brought Milovan River. They didn't want to sack Milovan. But government said fire Milovan.
I see.
So they fired Milovan. And in fact, Henry told us here that it took the GFA to pay Milos his severance package. Then came Otoado, who said he was not interested in the job, and he left. Government, the GFA said, we did not hire Chris Houghton. Government hired Chris Houghton. So we cannot take responsibility for getting rid of C.K. Akuno and Chris Houghton, because they were not our coaches.
I see.
They were the coaches of government. So government, we should take a chunk of the blame for the lack of consistency in the technical direction of the national team.
Why don't they beat their chest and put this on paper and release it and publish it?
You know they cannot say that. And in fact, Ernest Thompson said it recently when he spoke to Natala Ato, where he said that sometimes there's pressure from the top telling you hire this coach, and there's nothing you can do about it. You will have to hire him. So when the pressure came from the top for them to hire, they hired. Now they're saying that we have hired Otoado. Otoado is our choice. Now the point is, can they get rid of Otoado? It was one thing. One of the explanations that was given was the fact that if they get rid of Otoado now, there is no window for any new coach to come and have an opportunity with the players before the next international window, which will be in March 2025.
Where they play competitive World Cup
qualifiers. So what it means is that if the person also comes to fail, do they get rid of that person as well? So that is where they are at this point. When it comes to the conversation about whether Otto stays or Otto goes and what becomes of his technical or backroom staff. And in fact, after the games against Sudan, one of the things I was told was about the fact that the leadership of the FA actually wants to augment the backroom staff of the Black Stars. If they want to get augment the backroom staff of the Black Stars, I think it will be quite unfair for them to put it on Otto, knowing very well that Otto did not come to, or maybe he's had that conversation and it's yet to come to my attention. But after the games against Sudan, it was the FA that decided to augment the backroom staff of the Black Stars and not Otto making demands. So at this point, if the FA is convinced that indeed Fatah Adawale and John Pinsel are not good enough, let's get rid of them and get better people to support Otto Addo.
You will not be surprised.
I will not be surprised.
Fair enough. Muftar, thank you very much for that elaborate explanation of what's happening with the Black Stars. Your thoughts are welcome. 0551111997. We've got a lot to go through here on the show as well. I told you guys about the festive period coming in. Party in the Park is back 2024. That's the Joy FM family party in the park. It's at the Ebri Botanical Gardens. Families will once again be treated to lots of bonding and fun activities such as cooking competitions, tag of peas, sack racing competitions, musical chairs, dancing competitions, so much more. And we are taking it a notch higher this year. There will be a whole food village where some of your favorite food brands will be present, so you don't need to bother about food or at all. And all the new game village will be lit with assorted 3D games, FIFA, and many others. It's Christmas and Santa that will also be there with his bag of goodies for the family. So that's not all. We have performances from Kamido, Kwampa, Kwabna, and many others who will mount the stage to light up the party. The Joy FM Family Party in the Park is simply the place for the family this Christmas. So mark the details. It's on the 26th of December 2024 at the Ebri Botanical Gardens. Starts from 10 a.m. sharp. Take the whole family up the mountains and enjoy. That's on Boxing Day. Tickets are going for only 200 Ghana cedis for a family of 6. So you, your wife, and your 4 children. Only 200 Ghana cedis. That's cheap, man. The Joy FM Family Party is brought to you by Frital Cooking Oil. You deserve a life of goodness. And DBS Roofing Industry, your roof experts. Joy FM Family Party in the Park, creating memorable family moments. And before that, we have a 9 lessons and carols event. Okay, Christmas is upon us again, and we are indeed very grateful to God for seeing us through yet another year. So with joy and love and thanksgiving, your radio for discerning listeners, Joy 99.7 FM and all the Joy brands, Joy News, Joy Prime, and Hits FM invite you to join us as we ignite the true spirit of Christmas at the Joy FM Festival and 9 lessons and carols. Festival of 9 lessons and carols on the 15th of December 2024, 6 p.m. sharp at the Labadi Beach Hotel. We'll be hosted to angelic performances by Grace Choral International, Joe Metal, and Paris Music. Our lessons and carols will also be interspersed with fun Christmas pop quizzes, which will see a lot of audience go home with very beautiful Christmas packages. There will be loads of other surprises on the day. Attendance is free and open to everyone. However, you need to reserve a seat. Okay, simply send invite and hashtag Joy9Lessons to this number, our regular WhatsApp number 055-1111997, or you can call 0302-216-540 to reserve a seat. Joy FM Festival of 9 Lessons and Carols, celebrating the joy of Christmas. And Sicho, you were in the choir in secondary school, were you not?
Yeah, I was.
What were you doing? What did you do?
Well, I sang in bass, and by final year, I was the bass leader of the choir. In fact, when I was in St. John's in primary school, our school was selected to represent Ghana at the UNESCO singing competition in Lome. So yeah, I represented Ghana in Lome. We came second. Togo beat us to red, but we came second. Burkina came third, and Nigeria came third, and Burkina came fourth. So yeah, I have my way around the choir.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Give me some bass.
Yeah.
Small bass, something.
Mi da akpe na mau nyamegbeto kwe no kota miaji. Sorry, me I sing baby.
Thank you. Hey, he's bothered. You couldn't hear him. That's Jojo's fault. I don't know why you couldn't hear him.
It's your fault.
No, it's not me.
It's Jojo and Karim.
I don't know what they have done that you couldn't hear me. I could hear him clear. He was singing.
One of the listeners could hear.
The listeners could hear. It's the three of them who can't hear.
Forget about in the studio. Forget him.
So I don't know what they want, but that's the bottom line. Me, I could hear you, and your bass, it was going on, brother.
Yeah. Oh, me. Oh, I sang. So yeah, when I went to SHS, I joined the school choir as well.
Danike lied that when he was also in school, he was in the choir. The guy cannot sing to save his life.
I was not in the school choir.
You were what?
I was in my house choir. There was an inter-house singing competition.
And
the boys needed help.
And
so we all joined the choir.
And then
I sang tenor.
What did you say?
Top last. It doesn't matter. But on the records here, I was part of the house choir. That's what matters. So it's not a lie.
Oh God. Hey, oh man.
So how are you singing?
Which I don't remember. Okay, I said they needed help me. I went to sing to see how we were dancing.
It was a singing that mattered.
That's
yeah.
Your
man chop last. He did. Listen, guys, let's talk about.
I have two questions from Muftau.
Oh, are they Christmas questions?
No, on the Black Stars.
Oh, I wanted to move on from that. Ask him.
Yes. The whole John Paintel and Fatau Dauda review. Was it done as... Okay, so let me rephrase this. Is it the view of the Ghana Football Association that John Paintel and Fatau Dauda's perceived incompetence or whatever it is, whatever the adjective, as part of the reasons we failed in the qualifiers? What is Otuado's... When Otuado is suggesting that those two, we could have better options than them, is there a relationship between their incompetence and our failure to qualify?
Let me just take it once again that the conversations that ensued, if it is yet to come to my attention, that is it. But at no point did Otuado actually highlight the failure of any member of his technical team and attribute it to the failure of the Black Stars to qualify for the AFCON. It is the GFA, in their own wisdom, they have said that the backroom staff is not good enough. And as I mentioned, some of the FA leadership actually believe that Joseph Lohman is a very good coach, quite experienced coach, who can help Otuado. At no point did Otto tell them that John is not good enough, Fatau is not good enough. Maybe if they had those conversations in private, I do not know.
Is that you have a second question? Yeah, sorry, Sicho, go on.
I've never Ghana is a special country. You see, we are the way we do our things as if the whole world we are the wisest people. Look, I have never in my lifetime seen any team fail, and then those in charge are bypassing the main guy and are looking at replacing his subordinates. Like, me who be that? Like, you are trying to blame the performance of the team on the fact that the backroom staff is weak, and it's as if Otto is brilliant and he is good, but he's not doing well because his backroom staff are weak. I can't figure. I can't understand it, right? That Dauda and Pencil might lose their jobs, but Otto will stay. And the FA in their wisdom think that if they give Otto, look, Otto has no experience. Otto is not good enough. How many assistant coaches, well, in the game of football, how many coaches in the game of football will accept to be an inexperienced coach like Otto's assistant? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like Jose Mourinho accepting to be Ruud van Nistelrooy's assistant in the Premier League, or Martin O'Neill accepting to be many quality assistant coaches can come and accept to assist a coach like Otto, whose bar is very low? That is where they have to start from. Because Otto himself has no level to attract any top assistant coaches anywhere in the world. There are levels to this game. So the quality of assistant coaches you can attract are the Michaelasians, the John Pencils, the Fatah Dowdes. What kind of assistant coaches do GFA think that Otto can attract? No, think about it. What kind of assistant coaches? So when you are bypassing Otto to make it look like it's a problem with your backroom staff, no, it will be that. I've never seen this before. If the story is true, anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a fair point because you can't dance around the issue. It's like you're trying to stack the technical team with quality assistance. You're not questioning the.
So for me, when you say that around this time, when there is an audit, right, we're all going through that post-mortem of why we did not qualify, and your first move, if they go through with this, it is going to be the first major move that they've made beyond the apology, is to fire the assistants. What you are subtly communicating is that these guys were the problem.
Right.
And they could not have been the problem. Under no circumstance, because they do not take ultimate responsibility for how this team is designed, for the in-game management, for the individual decisions, who is the captain, who plays where, what technical structure our players. None of these guys take the decision.
Yes.
Unless of course there were repeated patterns of goalkeeping errors. And then the goalkeeper's coach says, still, this is the guy I want. There wasn't that case.
We saw changes.
In fact, what the last change we saw worked to a devastating effect. Except
when he brought in Mana for a tea.
Yeah. And he made that penalty save for us.
Right.
So for me, I cannot for the life of me understand why this is what is preoccupying their minds. The idea that the assistants are the problem, and that in any event, what is the quality of that assessment in itself? Because it is a purely technical job. We can sit here and have our opinions, but you have to take it. It has to take a technical person to look at the job that they have done. So is it the technical directorate that is informing the executive council that, from what we have seen, from Otuado's reports, JP and Fatah Dawda Lion, they are the reasons we did not qualify. Or these are just the deductions of the executive council or the FA president or whoever it is that is making that case.
I find the whole thing very interesting and really difficult to understand because.
But have you checked the story that it is true?
No. But it's a story that is worthy of the conversation because it's not the first time.
No, it is not.
We've had this.
And you see, for me, the central theme in all of this.
We can cross check.
The central theme in all of this is that, irrespective of whatever stories that are going around, the fact that we don't get the impression that the FA is going to go against the grain and let the technical people lead the conversation of what happens next with the Black Stars is worrying. You cannot trust that the executive council is suddenly going to get it right in terms of determining whether or not. And here's the thing: I don't think there's even a conversation to be had about the future of the Black Stars coach.
You mean he has to go?
He has to. But what happens after him?
I mean,
you cannot trust that the very people who have gotten that decision wrong on so many occasions will suddenly find the competence to now be able to identify and tell apart a good coach from a bad one.
Okay, actually, let me tell you one interesting thing. So the decision to bring back Otto and the blessing that came from government was the fact that prior to AFCON 2023, and this person told me this in confidence, so I don't want to put out his name, told me that when they were in Jubilee House, he actually told the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, that Chris Hughton will disgrace us in Cote d'Ivoire. So when they went and told them that we want to bring back Otto Addo, they had to trust it because they said Chris Hughton was going to disgrace us, and indeed he disgraced us.
This part, it annoys me. It is the reason why
it's neither here
take the national teams away from the FA. This idea that when it suits them, they take responsibility or they take the credit. But when things go wrong, they want to point hands at government and say, but what do you expect? That the government that pays and foots the bill of managing the Black Stars will not have a say in it. My only problem with the government is that, just like the FA, when they are also making recommendations on what to do with the Black Stars, it is often very unscientific. It is not by the people who should actually know that space. They are not the ones who advise governments on this. You would only have to go back to the previous instances where the governments had. The clearest example I can give you was after AFCON 2017, when we wanted to give Kwesi Appiah the job. You saw the whole majority caucus in Parliament now telling Ghanaians why it was too expensive to maintain or to keep up with the cost of hiring a foreign coach. So we've seen that example before. That is why, look, my biggest takeaway in all of this is that we perhaps would have to get to the point where we determine and find a structure of running and managing our national teams, an independent structure, not by the FA, not by government, but by a fully funded body with very technical people, especially on the decisions like who is the coach for which of the teams. Because we can all have our views. We can all have our differences. What we can absolutely not compromise on is getting that decision right. And it's not just for the Black Stars coach, because today, when we talk about Morocco's return to prominence again, Cameroon, these are teams who went to the AFCON and didn't do so well. But they have done the very thing that Ghana used to do in the past, which is go to the tier below, under 20 and the Olympic team, push players through into the national team, and then all of a sudden they are, because there is no other blueprint for running a national team. You cannot manufacture players from outer space. They have to come from the conveyor belt that is organic, right? If we look through
that's why management at those levels too had to be at the top.
Exactly. That is why the coaching decisions or the appointments at those levels have to be consistent with the person that you are putting at the top.
Fair enough. I mean, that's a fair point. There's really not much to argue as far as that's concerned. And I hope that we don't get this decision wrong. I hear you. I hear the FA when they make the argument about not having, or the new coach not getting any other opportunity before those matches being thrown into the deep end. What they forget is that Otuado did not get anything with the national team when he was asked to come and play the two most important matches in a World Cup qualification.
Yeah.
He had never been with the national team, and he didn't get a window to do that. He literally had 2 months. The AFCON was in January. Those two matches were in March. He had never coached at national team level before. They went to great lengths to bring him to come and play those two games. He took us to the World Cup. So it doesn't matter.
In fact, the last coach who took us to an AFCON final, Avram Grant, he took over the job after December. The chaos of 2014.
Yes.
World Cup. Took over the job in December.
Yes.
A month to the AFCON.
Yes.
We were in the final. So the next AFCON, he made the semi.
Yes. So for the argument, I hear you, but I think it's inconsistent with anything that has happened with the national team in the past. And that's why it's difficult to push it through. And in fact, if we are being fair, the decisions have rather served us better. Rather than
those kind of decisions.
Exactly, rather than do harm, to be honest. Yeah. So when coaches have not had any opportunity to play friendly matches or assess the team before taking charge of very competitive games, they've ended up doing well. The examples abound. So as for that argument, I hear you, but you don't have any strong leg to stand on. I do tell you who has a strong leg to stand on. That's Mikel Arteta and his Arsenal team. They're second in the Premier League. They beat Man United by 2-0. But there's a huge debate on the internet about Arsenal being set-piece merchants. And I don't understand the issue. But, I tell you what. Achuta Maklo has been the biggest critic of that system, and I have never understood his argument. We'll get to that. Chelsea, are they title contenders as well? That's an argument to be had here. But the FIFA Club World Cup 2025, yesterday, the group stage draw was done, and Group A has Palmeiras, FC Porto, Al Ahly, Inter Miami. Then there's Group B, which has Paris Saint-Germain, Atletico Madrid, Botafogo, and Seattle Sounders. Then in Group C, you have Bayern Munich, Auckland City, Boca Juniors, and Benfica. And Group D, you have Flamengo, Esperance Sportive de Tunis, Chelsea, and Club Lyon. Then Group E, River Plate, Urawa Red Diamonds from Japan, Monterrey, and Inter Milan. In Group F, you have Fluminense, Borussia Dortmund, Ulsan, and Mamelodi Sundowns. And in Group G, you have Manchester City, Wydad Athletic Club, Al Ain, and Juventus. And in Group H, you have Real Madrid, Al Hilal, Pachuca, and Salzburg. Okay, so you've got African clubs in there, Wydad, Mamelodi Sundowns, Al Ahly, and then Esperance. So 4 African clubs in this competition. It's next summer, 32 teams. The top 2 go straight to round of 16, and then quarterfinal, semis, and then final. Then you determine the winner. Basically, a very glorified preseason tournament. Listen, the catching razor is going to involve Inter Miami. Lionel Messi's team. So they will play the first match, and U.S. President Donald Trump, his daughter, he will give out a cup, including the World Cup trophy as well. But his daughter Ivanka was the one who took part in the draw. Ivanka Trump, she drew the first ball from the draw. So. And Inter Miami and Al Ahly will play the first game.
I need to become a president so that my son will present
play the first game at the Hard Rock Stadium, which is in Miami, of course. So we'll see what becomes of that competition. All right, but guys, let's talk about Premier League football. And there's a lot to talk about this weekend. There are big games involving Chelsea and Spurs in particular, and Postecoglou and the Tottenham Hotspur team have struggled to find consistency in recent matches. But Danny K, let me begin with you. You've been awfully quiet, so I'm going to come to you first on this one. Chelsea Football Club, title contenders, or you think, you know what, Chelsea fans should just keep quiet and enjoy what they have at the moment? Is it too much to ask? Or are the club themselves maybe being a little bit overly conservative by claiming that they're not fighting for the title? They're second, top scorers, they're winning, so why not?
I don't understand your question.
Why not?
A title contender is not an opinion, it's a fact.
It's a fact.
Chelsea are away.
They're second.
How many points behind the leaders?
7.
So,
but maybe they don't have the consistency to be contenders. Maybe that's what.
So if I'm top of the table, I don't want to win the title, I'm not a contender.
You do know that there was a point where Southampton were top of the table and then they went to tweet, stop the count. At that point, they were top, but they were not title contenders. So Chelsea can be second.
We're almost done with the first half of the season.
How are we almost done with the first half of the season?
We're almost in December.
It's 38 matches.
I said first half of the season.
Oh, okay.
We're almost done with the first half of the season. And Chelsea are second. They are second, 7 points behind the leaders. And they are top scorers. They have the best attack in the league. The indicators are there. Yes, when they face the top teams, the top clubs, teams that they are direct rivals, they've not necessarily got the results. But a couple of years ago, Arsene Wenger taught us that you don't need to beat the top clubs to reach your objectives. There are more clubs outside the top 4, the top 6. I even call them top 5 because I don't consider Spurs. They are not serious. But there are more clubs outside the top 5 than in the top 5. So majority of the points come from who you beat outside the top 5. In fact, last year, if you look at Arsenal, they had the best points. In terms of the league between the teams, the top 6 teams, Arsenal went top by far. Yet they missed out on the title by 2 points. Drop points at a crucial time against a team that is not traditionally considered a top 4 team. So, and if you go back in Premier League history, most of the time, or most often than not, when teams are gunning for the title and they drop points around the business end of the season, it hardly comes against some of these top teams. So Chelsea don't necessarily need to be beaten. Yes, it will get to a point where they will have to, but at this point, and they've clearly shown it, they've played 3 games against, or is it 4 games against top sides. They've not won one, yet they are second. And they are above all the teams that have beaten them but one. So it is a fact, whether Chelsea fans like it or not, whether the head coach likes it or not. If you are second and you are behind the leaders, and your name is Chelsea, you are obviously,
and you have spent 1 billion.
You are obviously in a title race. It is what it is. If you ask me if they have the consistency to carry this form to the end of the season, I'll say I'm not in the position to say it. Why? Because at the start of the season, I thought they would have certain struggles, but they've proved me wrong. And we've seen teams carry this momentum, with a mentality of nothing to lose, and carry a momentum through the end of the season. And if you remember, when Arsenal missed out on the top 4 3 seasons ago by 2 points against Tottenham Hotspur, if you remember, the season after that, we all expected them to fight for the top 4 again. And then straight away they mounted this crazy title challenge, and it was at the end that they ended up crumbling. But at the end of the day, they were still considered title challengers by March, April. So I feel it looks like Chelsea have that same approach, because week after week nobody is taking them seriously. Week after week nobody really expects them to be there at the end of the season, yet they are getting the points. There's no real pressure on them. As it stands, I think that the ambition they started the season with, which is probably to finish comfortably in the top 4, they are well within that. And again, it's Chelsea. They are there's a certain ambition that is embedded in the club. And if you're a player of Chelsea, it doesn't matter. And this is what I love about top teams. That's what defines a top team. It doesn't matter how your condition at the start of the season. You have to go into the season expecting to compete, and at least compete for the big things. And Chelsea, for me, they are doing the right thing. So
at the beginning of the season, did you genuinely think that Chelsea will be where they are?
Yeah, I said I didn't, but they have shown up until this point that from how they are playing, there's a clear identity. The players look settled. They seem like they understand the head coach. The head coach looks like he understands exactly what he's doing. And he's coaching without pressure. If you listen to how he talks, if you watch how they are playing, he's not...
And he seems to be a man in charge.
He's not really bothered about anything.
Hakim says, I should tell you that no one can... He's a Chelsea fan. Said, no one can tell us the aura in our team. We are still building our team. Chelsea is not a title contender. Please stay away and don't give us pressure.
Okay. It's a fact. If you are second, then go to fit. Then you will not be a title contender.
Sicho, let me bring you in here, because you have a very special history with the Chelsea fans. They say you are awfully quiet about the team now that they are doing well at the beginning of the season. So Daniel makes a point that I want you to pick on. He says at the beginning of the season he didn't see Chelsea being competitive. Neither did you, I'm sure. But
he never even trusted the project.
The question is, I think ultimately right now, the question that I want to ask Sicho is, what has Enzo done so well that he's got this team where they are now, to the point where everybody thinks that they must accept that they are in the title challenge? What has he done right?
Well, look, I think that what he's done right is to come into the club and be very honest with all the players and with the structures around him. And I've always said that players respect honest managers, even if they are not playing. And the manager has had a conversation with them, an honest conversation with them about why they are not playing. Players respect that than just freezing them out. So he comes into the club, he tells a couple of players they are not going to play. They are never going to play irrespective. Ben Chilwell is an example. He's still at the club. He's not even training with the squad. He's not played. Raheem Sterling would have been the same for him. Now he gets into the club and he decides on how he wants to play. And how he wants to play, he's made it clear to all the players. So when you see Chelsea's Team A or Cup team, as we see now, they are very identical. And so when he's moving players from the group that plays in Cup games into the group that plays in the Premier League game, it's almost seamless. So I think what he has done is to get all the players to understand that, look, this is the starting 11, but all of you have got a chance to break into the 11 if you play well. And this is the starting 11, but if you are not performing well in that starting 11, there are others who are ready to take your spot. And all the players have just, put their heads down. They've worked hard. They are fighting for the positions. And when he's played well, he's rewarded you with a start. We saw Neto coming to replace at times Sancho. When Sancho had a good start to the season, and then his form. And other times when he played Man United, he couldn't play. So he played Neto, and Neto played well, so he kept him. When Madueke wasn't playing well, Neto came in. We've seen Enzo Fernandez, who was bought for a lot of money, wasn't playing well, and he dropped him to play Lavia and Caicedo. We've seen how he shuffled his back line as well, depending upon who is playing well. So he's an honest coach, and I think that is what I respect about him. I like coaches who are honest with players, who play players who are in good form, and who stick to players who are performing well. If you cast your mind back to Eric Ten Hag, he would play Anthony regardless. He would pick certain players irrespective of their form. He wouldn't look at a player like Amad Diallo, even though Amad Diallo had shown that he had promises. But when you watch Enzo Maresca, what he's doing is he's paying attention to the players. He's giving them the opportunity to play. And most importantly, he is improving a lot of very important players in Chelsea. So players like Caicedo are playing on a different level. A player like Nicolas Jackson is playing on a different level. Madueke seems to, even though he's inconsistent, when he has his game, he's unstoppable. And there are many others. Enzo Fernandez is playing. In fact, Enzo Fernandez has had his best spell in the last 3-4 games at Chelsea that he's ever had since he came to the club. So there are many things. Fofana looks fit and really good, sharp to go. Torreira, we know he played well at the Eagles, but he's continuing that form. Malo Gusto is also playing well again. So yeah, the manager is improving the players. He's been honest with them, and he's rewarded players who are performing. And so everybody in the club knows that as long as the team wins, if I'm not playing, it is because I'm not doing better than the person starting ahead of me. And to be fair, when you see Chelsea starting 11 or when you see Chelsea's lineup, it's mostly difficult for you to question why one player is starting ahead of the other. It's most often a lineup that everybody can agree that is the best and players that are in form.
Sicho, I cannot let you go without asking this question. You said that this Chelsea project was not going to work with the way they went about things. At the moment, it's working. You also said, famously or infamously, that no top coach in the world would take this job. Considering the work that Enzo Maresca has done now, would you consider him a top coach?
The exact phrase I used was no elite coach.
So Enzo is not elite.
Is Enzo Maresca an elite? Is Enzo Maresca an elite coach?
Elite, no. Hold on. No, let's redefine the elite. Okay, or not redefine. Sorry, let's define the elite. Well, so when you say elite coaches, who are the coaches you put in that category?
I think Guardiola, Carlo Ancelotti are elite coaches. I would even go to an extent of putting maybe Luis Enrique on the back of that the job he did at Barcelona and Spain.
No
right
club
under that bracket.
No club.
Maybe I'll push Jurgen Klopp right below Carlo Ancelotti and Pep Guardiola. Now I ask you again: would you put Enzo Maresca in that bracket?
I will not. Now, but the other question, hold on. But the other question ultimately is, it doesn't matter what the Chelsea project would have been at any point. Did you see a coach like Pep Guardiola leaving Man City to go to Chelsea? Or Ancelotti leaving Real Madrid to go there? Or even Jurgen Klopp leaving Liverpool to go there? Because if those are the only elite coaches, then that's the statement that you've made is moot, because it was never possible in the first place.
Okay, hang on. So coaches like Antonio Conte were never going to take, right? And so not only coaches like Luis Enrique was never going to. A coach like Nagelsmann.
You do know Luis Enrique interviewed for that job and was very interested.
And he didn't take it.
We don't know why he didn't take it. He didn't reject it.
We know why he didn't take it. We know that he wasn't going to work under those conditions where he wouldn't have a big say in transfer and players and politics and all of that. We know he wasn't going to take it. We know a coach like Nagelsmann wasn't going to take it. We know a coach like Thomas Tuchel wouldn't work in that environment. And Thomas Tuchel, Nagelsmann, Enrique, all of them are very close to the elite, so it's like in the brackets beneath them. So I was saying, coaches of that ilk, the coaches Chelsea were looking for were not going to take the job. And I've been proving right over time, because the coaches they've had is Graham Potter, Frank Lampard, Pochettino, and then now Maresca. Now
they also have Pochettino.
Pochettino, who is Pochettino? He's not in the brackets of Antonio Conte. He's not in the brackets of Luis Enrique. He's a very good manager. That is it. He's not above that. And he was the kind of coaches who were going to take the job. And so I said it. I was emphatic about it, and I still stand by it. I'm not saying that no coach is going to take the job. I'm just saying that coaches who have a proven track record of success are not going to take the job. So Chelsea have gone for Enzo Maresca. Look, at the moment it's working, which means they didn't even need an elite coach or a very, very good coach to work it. Enzo Maresca is coming to the club and is doing a brilliant job, but it doesn't negate the fact that many elite managers were not going to work under the conditions
Yeah, well, to be fair, but it also means that there's also no guarantee that if an elite coach took that job, they would have done a better job than Enzo Maresca. If you put Luis Enrique in that Chelsea environment, it doesn't matter how elite he is. I don't think he would have had the results of Enzo Maresca.
The reason you hire elite coaches is that they offer a better guarantee on return on investments.
What exactly has PSG gotten from Luis Enrique's appointment?
I'm not speaking.
No, but you cannot say that because of PSG. But otherwise, you can ask what did Carlo Ancelotti achieve with PSG when he went there? Is he an elite coach? Yes, he is. But what I'm saying is that for a club like Chelsea, when they were spending the amount of money they were spending, my thinking was they wanted to be successful. They explained this at this season or at the start of this season that look, the project they are looking at being successful in the next 4 years and the next 5 years, and I'm saying that it's fine. If Chelsea are only looking at playing the top 4. They didn't have to spend rebuild this team because the team that was handed over to them had already played in top 4 in the season that they took over the club, and the team was in Champions League. So for you to break the team down and try to reconstruct it only to be competing for the top 4 with over $1 billion spent, I don't see it. I don't get it. It's where the whole conversation is for me. But again, they are saying the players are young, the players who come ripe after 4 or 5 years. Good luck to that. But I don't think that is how football works. There's no guarantee that this group of players gets any better next season, next 2 seasons, next 3 seasons. You don't work football mathematics like that. This season could be the best season or the peak season for this group of players, even though they are young. And we've seen that in football many times. So what I'm saying is, it's also are spending over $1 billion. The simple idea is that the club should be able to compete and win laurels. At the moment, it doesn't look like maybe they are going to win the big things, but if it was about finishing in top 4, they didn't have to spend $1 billion that they spent in reconstructing this team to only compete in top 4.
Okay, fair enough. Achu,
there's something I just want to add
to that. I was going to move you
just
on.
Just a minute.
Okay,
is that between now and May next year?
Next year.
Yeah, okay. Chelsea have to find a way to lessen the workload on the manager. For now, he may be comfortable with coaching completely 2 different sets of teams, one for the Premier League and domestic competitions and another for the Conference League. But
they're not entirely different. There's an intersection of about 5 players.
It's just the volume.
No, it's not. It's a normal squad.
It's the same size.
It's the same squad size. I'm saying that's why I just said there's an intersection of half. It's just that Chelsea happens to have enough quality on the bench so that he can start as many as 5 new players every different game.
If you let me finish. The other leg of that is the whole backlog of players he's already made it clear that he's not going to work with.
They don't count now in the conversation.
And I'm saying you don't want him to be answering questions about them because beyond the questions journalists are going to ask him, there's an issue to do with budget and squad reinforcement for next term. Like it or not, the presence of those players and the fact that they are still on contracts directly affects how much Chelsea, what outlay they can make. Right?
How many of such players are at Chelsea right now? The ones that are on contract, like you said, that are not part of his plans, but at Chelsea, how many? Who?
I said are on contracts.
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't talk up. You introduced the variable of at Chelsea. I'm saying they are on contract. So whether they are at Chelsea or they are on loan elsewhere, I'm saying that the moment, because by next year, it would have been a year since the manager made it clear that he doesn't want those guys.
Yeah, but what's wrong with that? Like, how does that add to his workload? They are not there. They are on contract, yes, but they are not there. There was a point where Chelsea had over 100 players on loan.
Is that a real question?
Yes.
You're talking about squad planning.
Yes.
Investment into
those players are not part of his squad.
Wait, I'm saying that. I'm making a point to you that there's an issue with squad planning and investment into the squad, which is going to be directly affected by how much the club is still paying players who they are not keeping. Now, if you made a big point about how this is no longer the Abramovich era where the club was sugar daddy and so they could continue with that habit, and the club is making a clean break, being very judicious in their use of resources. You cannot be saying the sort of things you are saying that they will keep paying.
You do know that as it stands now, including all the players that are on loan, Chelsea has a wage bill that is well within the structure of the club. It doesn't matter the numbers that you say they exist. What the fact is, despite all those numbers, there is a wage bill that currently makes sense that the club is running. That's the point I'm making. So if the club is going to introduce new players like next season, like you said, investment into the squad, they will get rid of some of them. And that's always
Isn't that what I'm saying?
But you're saying you said they have to lessen the workload, and I'm saying there's no workload. What workload?
But you didn't let me finish. So what exactly are you arguing?
What are you arguing? I'm saying that you don't have a point. That everybody has players on loan. Everybody
you basically said the things I was saying. Only to now.
How is it a problem then? That's my issue. How is it a problem? The things you are saying. How is it a problem?
So why are you saying the same thing then?
Because I don't get your point. It's not a problem. It's what I'm saying. That the things you are saying that I'm repeating are not a problem.
Make this clear. My contention is this. They need to resolve some of those contracts, right? Like Chilwell. Chilwell is not on peanuts.
Yes, he's leaving in January.
I'm saying that permanently or on loan.
And that's not Enzo's job too.
I didn't say that's Enzo.
You said they have to lessen the workload.
You keep introducing. No, you said the manager.
Yes, you said they have to lessen the workload.
Yeah, but you see,
all those things are not.
I also mentioned that for squad planning and investment, those go beyond the manager.
So what's the workload you said they have to lessen on him? Which one is it? What is it?
You are in a hurry. You are in a hurry to rubbish the point. You don't let me finish. So even when I introduce the fact that it has a direct consequence on squad building and investments, you still want to gravitate back to the issue of it is just the manager. Why is the manager going to coach robots? The players, there isn't no money that is going to pay them. Or you missed the point where I said Chelsea have gone big on their PR machinery, talking about how they want to make a clean break from the Abramovich era where the club was sugar daddy, and so they could keep 1,000 players on loan and still find enough money to pay them and sign players. Or you didn't hear that part? So what exactly are you arguing?
How many players do Chelsea have on loan right now?
Oh Christ!
No, it's a fair question.
I'm sure you. It's not a fair question. I'm sure you make your question. You make your point eventually.
How many?
I'm sure you make the point eventually. So you make the point.
Chelsea don't have the most players on loan this season. You just know about Chelsea having players on loan because some of Chelsea's players on loan are high profile, i.e. a player like Raheem Sterling. And that's why it's become an issue. And even with that, Chelsea are still taking other players on loan, like Sancho. So I'm saying that the way Chelsea has managed the squad is very normal. It's no different from the way United have managed their squad. It's no different from the way Man City or Liverpool have managed their squad. That whole thing, so the point I'm driving at is that whole thing is media propaganda that you bought into. Exactly. That Chelsea have 43 players and Chelsea don't have training and place for.
You approach Chelsea issues with a chip on your shoulder. It's like you're looking out to shut down something that you perceive is coming. So even when someone is making because you cannot tell me that they can keep the current size of the squad that they have and still say that they are going to. Who has mentioned 43 here? You are the one who introduced that. You are the one who said they spent £1 billion. No one even mentioned that. What I said was clear. I said that
what are you saying?
To lessen the burden of the manager, you need to clarify the contract situation of a lot of these players because it also affects squad development and investment into the team. Those are the three principal points I have made. Which of these is invalid?
Go on with your point. Are you done?
I want to engage with you. Which of the 3 points I've made is invalid?
Coming. Yes.
Look, I get what Achu is trying to say because, and again, when you say that the perceived team B is an intertwined one with the perceived team A, it's not necessarily accurate. Chelsea have an entirely new 11, very different from the one that can start in the Premier League. That plays in the Conference League. Look, when they played against Heidenheim, for example, Jensen was in post. Vega started, Badiashile, Tosin, and Disasi. These five at the back are not starting on a match day for the first team. Badiashile doesn't start. Tosin doesn't start. Vega won't start. In midfield was Brisbane Hall and Pasade. These two don't play the Premier League. They barely see games. Mudrik barely sees games in the Premier League. Nkunku is on the bench in the Premier League. It's either Jadon Sancho or Neto who starts. And Sancho started in that game. Then Maguire started in this game. What he's trying to say is there's going to come a time where this won't be enough for Nkunku. This won't be enough for Mudrik. This won't be enough for Badiashile. This won't be enough for Vega. At times, maybe Brisbane Hall. So the team needs to plan how they are going to do. At the moment, these players are accepting it because they hope they can break into the first team. But a time will come that the team now have to have a plan as to how these players are going to be comfortable being French players. So I think that time is going to come. These players won't be happy with this forever. We're already hearing that a player like Nkunku.
But do you also think that having that much quality, even on the bench, is also the reason they are able to play as well as they're playing this season?
Yes. Because there's so much workload on players like Palmer, players like Caicedo, players like Fofana, or Jackson. They don't have the workload. They don't play midweek. They only play once a week. So that contributes to it. But what I'm saying is, for these very talented players who are in the team B, how long would they be comfortable? We're already hearing Nkunku is not happy with his role at the club, right? And I suspect there will be more players. John Felix, for example, there will be more players in the coming months who will show their displeasure at the minimal role they are playing in the squad. And I think that is what Achi is perhaps trying to point, or if that's not the case, that is what I am pointing to, that how long will these players who are very talented be content with these, midweek cup game team that they keep playing? Only time is going to tell.
But friends, I think that you see the difference between what Chelsea are doing and what this scenario would have made perfect sense if we were talking about other top teams. But remember that this new Chelsea management, the contracts they make you sign, even your role in the team, they have sort of refined it. So players are not signing contracts expecting to be starters. I don't know if you get me. There's a part of the contract where they define the role, and that role also has an impact on the salary that you make, the bonuses that you make. And they've been able to streamline all these things. So somebody who is starting week in, week out, he's starting week in, week out because the coach feels that he's ready. It's not necessarily because his contract demands that he should be playing. So it's different. And again, everybody has registered 25 players. You have, I think, 3 players who are under 18 who you can add. And
it's the same number.
It's the same number. The only difference between Chelsea's own is that the 25 players are all good. And we all mentally feel like they are first team players. So it's the same as if Man United is playing a Carabao Cup game and players like Anthony and Harry Amas them are playing. The difference between United and Chelsea is that Chelsea's Harry Amas or Chelsea's Anthony is Disasi or your friend is simple. Nkunku. Thank you. So it's
or even Reece James.
Thank you. It's the same thing. And even Sicho made a very good point. We failed to see the intersections this season. It's not like a clear-cut team A, team B. There are certain players who've been able to break into team A and have now become regular starters in team A. And there are players who started the season in team A who are now playing in team B. It keeps chopping and changing. I think the only permanent members of this team maybe is Cole Palmer and then
Caicedo.
Cole Palmer, Caicedo, and then Jackson. They are the only guys I've not seen play
maybe
like
Sanchez.
Maybe Sanchez in post. They are the only guys I've not seen play like an integral part of both team A and then team B. So I think it's flexible, but the main contention is the distribution of quality. And Chelsea have quality players all throughout. So the Carabao Cup team, which is the second team, will look like it's fit enough to play a Premier League game, and then you would feel like
they have too many
players and these guys will complain. But it's all part of the contract that they signed. That's why most of the guys who existed before didn't want to sign these new contracts, because it meant that it was playing down, it was reducing their importance in the team, their importance in terms of their role in the team. And then it will come back and haunt them. As in the point that if they are not playing, now they will want to play and they will want to complain, but now they can't complain because they've signed a contract. So I think Chelsea, we all said at the start of the season, in fact, a couple of seasons ago, they found a loophole. So if you sign the contract, you know what you are getting, and it's not, if you complain, they'll find somebody else to come and sign it. It's not a big deal.
Listen, let's talk briefly about Arsenal and then wrap it up. Achu, you have an issue with the way Mikel Arteta plays his football.
Yeah.
A big issue. It doesn't matter if he's winning. You just have an issue. And the fact that they are scoring with corners is even annoying you more. You said, and I'm quoting one of your tweets, or should I paraphrase it? It's like, I had it here. I thought I was going to find now it has disappeared. But you basically likened Mikel Arteta's Arsenal to Stoke City. All of it to say that you cannot spend this much money He said to think that not long ago, his fan base, talking about Arsenal fan base, spat on Pulis, Allardyce, Mourinho, and Simeone at every turn, only to now cheer him for basically spending $1 trillion to play the way they play. It's peak irony. This is what you said on Twitter.
Yeah.
Arsenal fans don't agree. Do you care to elaborate? Why do you have such a big problem with the way Arsenal play? It doesn't matter that they're winning.
No, you can win games. It's a long season. At some point, you find a rhythm. You get some wins. So, as for it's what you come home with at the end of the season, where those wins take you, as far as meeting your objectives, that is what matters. Now, to the game in question. And again, since you brought up the tweet, I want to expand it to cover all of the other things I said that people came up. And also the reason why I didn't bother engaging some people on some of the things that our friends were tagging me about. On Manchester United, when a manager takes over a team and he has 2 weeks to prepare his team for games like this, each week interrupted by a midweek game, there is not a great deal you can expect in terms of fashioning out a team that will play in a manner that is more than a sum of its parts. So when they set out to play, you'll begin to see some inconsistencies in their play. And by inconsistencies, you won't find any choreographed pattern, be it defensive or attack, right? Even if it is defensive football they want to play, you'd realize that at a certain point, the movements are not synchronized. The communication is a bit, so they will be making some mistakes on the pitch. Sometimes it will be even very difficult to tell exactly what they want to do. And that has been Ruben Amorim's Manchester United. More to the point, this is a team that has been badly coached for the most part of a decade. In fact, Amorim got this job because of that. So when they come up against a team that has been prepared and provisioned for 5 seasons, the disparity in terms of who has had longevity, who has had stability in terms of their recruitment, and that support has to show. Because over time, the team that has had a longer period would presumably have ironed out the kinks, gone through various phases of growth to the extent that when they start playing, you begin to see automatisms. Right? It comes to them naturally. And how they play is easy to identify. And there is a certain consistency to it. So when people talk about, but you are making noise because Manchester United, I don't think there is even any Manchester United fan in the world who genuinely believed United were going to get even a draw from Sunday's game. You can hope as a fan that, of course, it's a derby game. You want your team to win. But in terms of probabilities and knowing the factors that influence the outcomes of football matches, United players were not exactly on form, not any more than their counterparts in North London. United were not playing great football before then. I've explained to you the setting for the manager who came in. So the best United could have hoped for was a contingency measure, a damage limitation approach, basically, on Wednesday. Go there, try and see what you can get from that game. If it's a respectable defeat, that's okay. Then you get away with it. And that is why on the day, and to circle back to the point about the team not having enough time under the manager, and because of that, you cannot expect consistency of any kind, be it defense or in attack from them. You realize that United's only threat to Arsenal often was 3 of their forwards being isolated. Like when United were attacking, you could see the Mediterranean Sea between United's defense and the attack. So there essentially was no support system. There was no supporting cast for Højlund, what's his name? Garnacho, sorry. And then Mason Mount. See, Christopher Nimley is a pet. and Mason Mount. So when you come up against a team like that,
yes,
and you are that reactive, you are that conservative in your approach, after 5 years of coaching, I have a problem. Because, and people will talk about in-game management and how Arteta was matured and it was a proactive performance and all of that. As the game proceeds, as a manager, you are able to tell the patterns and tell how the opponents can hurt you, in what ways they can hurt you. Nobody can convince me that there was any scenario, especially from that throughout the game, there was any scenario where Garnacho, who was still playing in a tactic that in his entire career, and he's not even experienced anyway, is now learning. Mason Mount hasn't started 3 consecutive Premier League games in more than a year. Højlund, who is universally agreed that he is not going to be an elite centre forward. Those were the threats Arsenal were facing. You want to tell me that after spending £700 million, Arsenal were so afraid that they had to set up deep and just allow United to have the ball because they knew United could not hurt them. Instead of playing on the front foot.
Hold on, actually. So your biggest problem with Arteta is the fact that he didn't dominate Man United.
The biggest problem with Arteta is that Arsenal have become unrecognizable.
How so?
Because
they've scored 28 corner kicks since the start of last season.
Which is the credit.
Yes, but most by any team. That in itself, hold on. That in itself is a routine. Is it just but that's an automatism. Like you introduced that word. That is an automatism. It's not accidental.
Yeah.
So are you saying that you don't like it? Because that in itself is also a system. That's been created by Arteta. So like you said, it's a positive. It's credit to him. I get it.
When Arsenal fans used to spit on Jose Mourinho,
yes,
and all of those managers, because that football was presumably beneath them.
Haram ball.
It was because they knew and they genuinely believed there was a better way of achieving their objectives.
No, but you see, haram ball is different from corner kicks. They are two completely different things.
He mentioned haram ball. I have
don't mix it. Don't mix it.
The way Mourinho plays is very different.
No. Actually, but the point Daniel is making is still valid because
you are likening corner kicks
the
to
football,
the way a team plays.
You spoke about you spoke about what the Arsenal fans criticized.
So here's the thing.
Which was
when you look at that tweet, there is nothing in the tweet that criticizes Arsenal scoring from set pieces.
I'm not saying
that.
No. Listen.
I'm speaking not just to
you.
I'm just clarifying, not just to you.
Listen to a question before
which is fair.
I'm saying that you are criticizing Arsenal's style, and you are saying when Arsenal's fans in the past used to spit on Jose Mourinho, and I'm saying that there's a complete difference between Mourinho's style of play
and what they were spitting on,
and what Arteta is doing now. It's very, very different.
Okay, I would just like Daniel to respond briefly. We only have 3 minutes.
I'm just going to conclude by saying
yes.
They're very defensive football because Arsenal can't attack these days.
And
they're very defensive.
No.
See, there are 2 areas of measuring success for Arsenal, right? It has to translate in the Premier League and success in Europe. I have looked at them enough to be convinced this football will not win them the Premier League.
DK, you only have 2 minutes.
Look, they are the 3rd top scorers in the league, but they can't attack. I'm bemused. Last season they were the 2nd top scorers by 2 goals against Man City, but they can't attack. You can't make statements without facts backing it. It's not fair because the goals are there to show they can attack. Yet you are telling me they can't attack. When it comes to teams who control possession, dominate games, last season Arsenal ranked in the top 5 possession center teams. It's only this season we are in the first half. They are not there. 2 seasons ago they were in the top 3. They control possession, they dominate play, they create chances, big chances created. Arsenal this season stand in the top 3. So, but they can't attack. Like I don't understand. I'm trying to understand the issue, but I don't get it because they are creating chances, they are scoring goals.
He says the football is not nice. You are not dominating. You came up against United.
You said they don't create chances. They can't attack. That was a definite statement. But the numbers and everything is showing that they can attack and they can create chances.
So actually he's lying.
He's lying. It's not true. It's not true. Why you say it's not true? Maybe you don't like that style of football. You can argue it from that side. I don't like the way Arsenal pass the ball.
That's why you said.
That's
but
fine.
I didn't say they don't create chances.
You said they can't attack.
They can't attack.
What metrics translate to attacking? It's
creating chances.
And what? And scoring goals.
And scoring goals.
Also, what again?
Yeah. So actually, it's like the thing of some personal hatred.
It's not personal. I'm saying that the only consistent thing about them is the set piece, and I said to their credit.
And I'm saying that's not true. I've told you in the last 3 seasons they ranked top 5 in chances created. They ranked top 5 in scoring goals. They've ranked top 5 in average possession. And plus, set pieces only came from last season. So if you have a problem with that, you can argue, okay, maybe they scored me too. I didn't like it. That's fine. I don't say
that's
like,
not what I'm saying.
Because every other metric is.
Do you remember the last? I have a question. No, I have a
question.
question.
No, we have.
It's
to
just
go.
a question.
Yeah,
It's just
okay.
a question. Do you remember the last great attacking performance from Arsenal?
Yes, against Nottingham Forest, 2 games.
Thank you.
All
right, listen.
They are doing that.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sicho.